I noticed whenever I was looking at some of the cartoons that you had been like a voice and recording director for, that some of them were Hanna-Barbera. Wasn't Jabberjaw and Willie and the Chopper Bunch and Hong Kong Phooey? That was all Hanna, wasn't it?
Yep, Hong Kong Phooey was my show. And Jabberjaw, Frank Welker was the shark character. That was my show. You mentioned one show. It was not mine. I'm not sure which one it was. I didn't work on Banana Splits, for example. I didn't, well, trying to remember all the ones that I did work on is, it's been a while, like 25 years.
You've worked on quite a few, though. I listed some of my favorites that you may remember, like Inspector Gadget.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Inspector Gadget was fun. That was done with Don Adams, who had been the lead in, what was his television show?
That was based off of Get Smart, correct?
Yeah. Well, Get Smart was his character. He had developed the character of Get Smart, or at least the voice approach to it, when he was a stand-up comic. And somebody said, hey, can we take that character, and will you play that character on the screen as a detective? And he went with it and went on and did it. So the use of that same voice and that same characterization for Inspector Gadget was kind of a bit of a rip-off, a little bit of a stealing of character using another character. But it was Don Adams' character, his voice and his characterization. So Get Smart and Inspector Gadget had a lot in common.
Yeah, and then they had some of the other ones, like the Littles. You said that's how you were first introduced to Greg Berger, or had you known him beforehand?
Yeah, no, I had not known him before. We do, on any cartoon series, you have a period where you're casting. You're looking for new actors, sometimes for old actors, to see if they can do the characters that you want to use them on. In any case, there's a process of finding and looking for people who play the characters. And I was where I first met Greg Berger. You know, he was a delightful person to work with. He still is. He's a warm, understanding, talented guy.
And let me see. I
was just going to say that the producer of Inspector Gadget, a guy by the name of Andy Hayward, still runs DIC, D-I-C, an animation production company. And when he started his company, he first called me and said, I want you to direct our first project, direct the voices, that is. I was not an animation director. I want to make that clear. In any case, I directed the voices and found it a delightfully told story. The writing was really great. And I enjoyed, I will never forget, working on those shows because they were so well written. It's fun for a director to get a piece of material they scripted is really something he can get his teeth into. He can really enjoy getting the characters to work. And I will never forget working with that. There were several actors I've continued to work with over the years that were in the Littles. It didn't have a great success, although ABC Television owned the rights to the show, and they liked the first 3 episodes so much that they put them together into a feature, and it appeared as a theatrical movie very soon after we got started in production on the Littles.
Yeah, I remember watching it a lot on Saturday mornings, too.
I don't think I ever saw the feature version, but essentially it was the first 3.5 hours of the television series put together as a movie.
Yeah. I remember that. And, you've also done, like, Jim and the Holograms, and then G.I. Joe and Transformers were yours. But I also noticed that you did something with Captain Caveman.
Captain Caveman was played by Mel Blanc.
Okay.
I remember when we auditioned him for that, he said, well, you're trying to get me to do one of the characters that I did for Warner Brothers. He said, I won't do that. I glacier someplace, frozen for many, many, many millions of years, and finally came to life when the glacier melted and his body came out. He became the head of the detective agency, and they had three gals. One of them is no longer with us. The other two are still acting in television, and of course Mel is gone. And Mel was his signature was Captain Caveman when he came out, when he appeared in the show. And he wanted to know if he was going to have to yell that every time he appeared. And I said, well, I don't think we need to do that. We can do one good yell. We'll do several of them, several takes in one session. And we'll choose one of them, and then we'll continue to use that as a kind of like a stock footage. And you won't have to ever do it again. And that's the way it worked out. So the Captain Caveman yell that even appears now in syndication for that show is the one we selected from one little recording session. And he only had to do it maybe 5 or 6 times for that audition. We chose one, and that became Captain Caveman.
Yeah, I remember that yell. I remember that yell very well. I love that show. Can you share some of your... Now, I know you've done a lot of directing, but can you share some of your personal voiceover work, like with Pearl Harbor and some of the cartoons and games you've voiced for?
Pearl Harbor had nothing to do with the animation business. I was auditioning to read a character who would be a news reporter, and they wanted to use a new voice to put with some old Fox movie tone newsreels. A lot of people wouldn't today know what a newsreel was, but they used to be in the movie theaters, and you'd see the week's news compressed into a 15-minute news report of what happened during the past week. So they used those kind of newsreel clips from old newsreels as the chronology markers in Pearl Harbor, the movie, the one that Michael Bay directed. So I auditioned like any other actor would for that, and did what the kind of old-time announcers used to kind of yell everything. Meanwhile, back in Washington, so on. That's the sort of approach to things. And he liked the way I did the old-time announcer thing. So I spent probably 6 or 7 recording